right.
comadre.
Hola, comadre. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great now that we got these beautiful mics.
I know. Oh my gosh. After 8 episodes, the Lord and Victoria herself. We got to thank Victoria for this. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Victoria.
Victoria's watching this. She's like, the Lord.
The Lord.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. After the interview that we did with Victoria on the episode about addictions and alcoholism, she was so freaking kind to gift both Val and I microphones. And we tested them out the other day and they sound so good. I feel like so official. I'm so freaking excited. I'm so pumped. So thank you, Victoria, if you're watching this. Like,
Yes.
we cannot thank you enough.
Yes, absolutely. Just thank you for believing in us, for sitting down with us, and then for giving us something that's gonna help our production. Because for a while there, it is a lot to have, like having the tech, having the camera, having the mics, having the tools to even edit, all of the things that go into it. So the fact that she gave us a mic, like I cried a little bit when I got it. I was like, oh my God, like
Same.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just like wonderful too, because it was such a thoughtful gift. Like, we were not expecting anything at all. But I do remember when we
Hmm.
were getting ready to film our episode, I was telling her that I had found out the mics that I had bought, the little mini ones that we usually hold, that mine
Hmm.
wasn't working this whole time. And so I
Hmm.
guess she heard that and was just like, you know what? Let me do something thoughtful. So that was just so amazing and lovely. And again, we can't thank you enough.
Hmm.
How was your Christmas? How was your holidays?
My Christmas, my holidays, they were pretty good. I had a lot of time to just self-reflect and just think on like the things that I want to do this year, the people I want to sit with and interview. And I think it was more introspective versus like other holidays that I've had where they're very extroverted and loud and family oriented. And yeah, I think this wasn't necessarily like what I wanted, but it was what I needed. I feel like I really needed
Mm,
just to like go back and just really sit down and think. And I think I got that. So I'm actually really
yeah.
thankful. I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah. I
What
know
about
that
you?
was your first Christmas away from family because you were
Mm-hmm.
living long distance last year, but you got the chance to visit
Mm-hmm.
them. So I feel like that's kind of hard. I don't know if like a lot of people talk about it, but like I remember whenever I moved far away from my family, like the reality is, unfortunately, you cannot go home for every single Christmas. And sometimes your family can't come see you. Like,
Yeah.
it is hard, but at the same time, it is also really lovely in its own way, especially if you do have your own partner that you moved, long distance with, because it's like your first one together. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But mine was really good. Mine was really all over the place, a lot of new things. So, we went to my fiance's sister's house and that was really good. We opened lots of presents, had fun. That was in South Carolina, so it was nice to kind of get out of town for a little bit. And then we came back. I worked at my serving job on New Year's Eve, which at this point I'm just an old lady now. Like, I'm not trying to like bag on myself or anything. I don't say that in a way of like I'm getting old. Like, I like not having to go out and do stuff sometimes. So after work, I came home and I watched Stranger Things and it was super low key, very relaxing. So I was very happy about that. Let me know what y'all think about the finale in the comments if you watched Stranger Things because I have thoughts. And then I also sold my first house the day before New Year's. So I'm very happy about that. I'm so excited for the couple that I was able to help out in getting their house. They relocated here from Texas. So it was really cool to see how everything unfolded like firsthand. I've learned so much about it. I've read so much about it. I have been able to witness certain steps of the process through my colleagues who have been in the industry for years, but this was my first time doing it by myself and seeing it all right in front of my eyes. So I learned a lot and I'm excited to keep the ball rolling and get that momentum going and get some more houses sold this year. I got lots of goals, which is, brings us to the title of this episode. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, we're officially in season 2. So
Hmm.
Welcome to season 2. Today, Val and I are going to talk about SMART goals. So, Val, can you tell us what are SMART goals? What does the acronym stand for?
All right, let's do it. So, SMART goals, which I like because we don't want to have dumb goals. Just kidding. SMART goals gives us structure. And S is for specific. So I like this because it's not like shooting in the dark or just like, I don't even know what I'm aiming at. It's very specific. So S is for specific. M is for measurable. A is for achievable. R is for relevant. And T is for time bound. Again, just to kind of like go into it a little bit more specific, like you're maybe you're running a mile faster, or maybe you're trying to max out and have like a specific weight that you're trying to like press or bench, whatever. Measurable, like you got to be able to like measure it. It's like, well, I don't know if I made progress. Like if you're not tracking it, you're not going to know. So you got to be able to measure it, which goes into data. Achievable, like it needs to be realistic. Like you can't be like, I'm going to go to Mars tomorrow, Jen, and you're like, how? Like how? Like it needs to be achievable. Relevant, and time bound. So I guess time bound within like a certain amount of time. So
Like a
actually setting
deadline.
like a
Yeah.
date. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. All
and,
right, Jen.
I've also heard relevant or the R be for not just relevant, but also realistic, and so the reason that that one is in
Mm,
there is because a lot of times when people are thinking about their goals, they're not as realistic as they think they are. So, whenever I used to be a wellness coach when I lived in Florida, obviously, I was helping people to meet their fitness goals or lose weight, gain weight, whatever they wanted to do. And sometimes people would come in and they would be like, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds. And I'm like, okay, 20 pounds of what? 20 pounds of fat, 20 pounds of muscle, 20 pounds in general. So that was the specific. And then, measurable. Okay, how are we going to measure your fat loss if that's what you're going for? You can measure it through a really high tech scale, like you could use the InBody scanner. You can also use other types of like I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know there's like a DEXA scanner. I know there's like the caliper
mm,
thing where like it pinches your body fat and like that kind of a thing. Attainable, okay, 20 pounds might be a little intense right now. Let's bring it back to 10 pounds. And then realistic, that's going to come into play of like how realistic is it able to fit into your lifestyle? So are you a busy mom that doesn't have much time to do any kind of workout on her schedule? Okay, so that's why we're coming from the 20 pounds and bringing it back to 10 pounds, because 10 pounds might be more realistic for you based off of what you can actually fit into your schedule. Or
mhm,
again, relevant because, it's to you. It's not just to random John Smith or Johnny Appleseed. It is to you specifically. And then timely, again, bringing it back to time, which we will get into some specifics about some of the goals that Val and I have and use those as some examples that you guys can kind of piggyback off of if you want some inspiration of your own. But if you are working on a specific health goal, especially if it is weight loss or fat loss, the timing portion is extremely important because, especially as women, we have been conditioned to think that it's normal to just lose like 20 pounds in a week. Or we get fed a lot of like marketing that is like, lose 20 pounds at the drop of a hat. And it's like, that's not realistic. There is a realistic way to do this so that you don't feel like you're starving yourself. You're not putting your health at risk. You're not setting yourself up for disappointment. And that also kind of, goes into the realistic portion that we talked about earlier. So we'll get into that later. Let's go back to our notes real quick and see. Actually, this next portion I would love Val to talk about because this is what her master's is in. So, why do SMART goals work, Val?
okay. So this kind of goes into like a different portion of our conversation, but a lot of people that have read Atomic Habits, if you think about the word habit, like what is a habit? A habit is a behavior because you're doing it. It's like an action, like you're not thinking about it, you're doing it. So it's something that you do consistently, almost without thought. So there are good habits and there are bad habits. So for example, like you can, for example, like I don't know, some people might think that this is either a good or a bad habit, but like constant scrolling, it's habitual. It's like there's not really any like thought behind it. It's a habit. It's almost like second nature. So habits are things that almost just become instantaneous. And again, there are good habits and there are bad habits. So with that, with smart goals, I think it's building systems that work for you. You're not having to like go out of your way or there's a lot of effort behind it. Like the systems that you have built help you support your habits. So, kind of going back to like Jenny's conversation on like weight gain or weight loss or, whatever your goals are for the year, if you have habits that work for you or systems that work for you, those goals are going to be easier to reach. So, for example, when I was cutting out sugar, because my brother, I've talked about this a few times, that my brother was undergoing cancer treatment, the first thing that the doctor said was go and clear out your pantry, anything that has high sugar, because this individual is living with you guys and he's on a no sugar diet. That was one of the protocols for his cancer treatment was like no sugar. So we went home and no soda, no juice, cereal, granola, chips, what else? Like just anything that had sugar, we cleared it out. And we asked him, like, okay, but why? And it's like, well, because he's surrounded by you guys and you want to make this easier for him. So if he's having to work against his treatment, if he's having to work against like not eating sugar, but then everybody's having cereal for breakfast or you guys are eating Skittles, it's going to be way harder for him. So it's like, okay, you need to build systems that are going to work for you. It's the same thing like if you're quitting smoking, but then you hang out with all your friends and they're smokers, you're going to be more tempted to. So it's like, okay, you need to work with yourself and help yourself out. So ABA kind of does that. It's behavior driven and also reinforcement driven. So it's like, okay, like how am I going to reward myself or reinforce myself? So it kind of goes hand in hand with SMART goals, but it focuses on the behavior and making the behavior easier for you to achieve. That was so
Right.
long-winded. Whoa.
No, no, that's what we're here for. This is long form content because, while short form content is really good to introduce people to the subject, I think long form content helps people get into the real depth. So, I don't mind at all. I was going to say one of the things that I really love about ABA is that I feel like it gets to the root of it, right? So, it helps you create that system that you talked about where you can create those reward systems because as human
Hmm.
beings, positive reinforcement is the most effective method.
Yes.
But, we'll bring up Atomic Habits later. That's an amazing book if you guys have not had the chance to read it. It has so many different systems that you can use to try and make the good habits look appealing and then the bad habits not look appealing so that you're kind of hacking into your brain and like tricking yourself and you're like eventually as time goes on whenever you're mitigating those bad habits, you're like, honestly, I just don't even have a desire to do that thing anymore. I don't have a desire to smoke that cigarette. I don't have a desire to eat that bad food. I don't have a desire
Hmm.
to doom scroll on my phone. So I really, really like that because, again, it gets to the root of the issue and it helps to prolong the good habits. All right, let's move on to the next portion. So we want to bring you guys as much information here at Conscious Comadres as possible. So we don't want to just be talking about all the good things about SMART goals because there is a well-rounded argument against them. And so this is something that we want to invite you guys to take what you like and leave what you don't. If there is some piece of advice in here that is just not working for your life, you don't have to listen to it. If there is something in here that you really like that you do want to implement, then definitely use that and move forward. But Forbes magazine did come out with an article recently, and we are going to link that in the description box below, talking about how SMART goals can actually do worse for you. And I would say this is especially true for people who are really hard on themselves or maybe have anxiety. SMART goals can be a little too specific sometimes, and it gets you to the point where it's almost unattainable because of how specific it is. One of the things that is argued in here is that that's just setting you up for failure in the long run. And that kind of ties into ABA, right? If you get to a point where you're like, I don't even think that I can reach this goal, and you're so hard on yourself, you're just making your brain have a negative association with it. So that is something to be aware of whenever you do have goals. This is honestly something that I struggle with is like at the beginning of the year, I get so excited and I have so many goals and like almost it's like too many things. And then I overload my plate and honestly, like as we talk about some of the goals that Val and I have this year, I think there are some that I need to be like, okay, if these ones don't progress as much as I want them to, I will be okay with that because I am only a human being. As much as I want to constantly level up and try to become better at my craft, whether it be learning Spanish or getting healthier and fitter or selling more houses or whatever the case may be, there's only so much that I can do. And so reminding myself to have that grace and like give myself permission to not be perfect. Like that's not what life is about, you know? So that is something that I did
Mhm.
want to bring up before we continue moving forward. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Val, before we move forward.
Yeah. So actually, if my 20s have taught me anything, is like sometimes less is more. And just because you can doesn't mean you should, whether that's good or bad. But I think the reason why SMART goals can be overwhelming, I do think like the formula works. I think it is like a really good strategy. But also, I think that maybe if you have a lot of goals, I think what happens is like burnout. It's like you're doing so much and you have so many strategies for each thing, but then you have like a full plate of things and then it just becomes overwhelming, which then it's just like I'm just not going to do it. Like it just becomes hard because you've created a really good system, but you're doing so much. So this year trying to do less but focus more. So it's more intentional, but
More
I'm also
quality.
doing less. Yes, just the quality over the quantity because then for me, I end up feeling like I'm very spread thin and I'm doing a lot of stuff and it's like, wow, that's great, but I'm also like, okay, like I have 5 minutes between my next activity because SMART goal says that it's like that,
Right.
like you're going back to back to back to back. And then for me, I just end up feeling tired. And then, yeah, so maybe that's a reason why maybe like SMART goals, we need to also figure out like self care, like include that, make it like a very well balanced equation of like, okay, like,
Yeah.
but I also have to have time or, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say one of the things that I think is really smart, for lack of a better word, to implement into your SMART goals is to give yourself a range. So, for example, if you are losing weight, say, I want to lose 10 to 15 pounds. And then that way, if you hit your 15 pounds, great. But if you fell a little bit short, that's also great because you made some progress and you know what to do to continue
Mm-hmm.
to get to the rest of those 5 pounds. You just got to keep going a little further. Or like, trying to think of another one. Okay, so for me, like I said earlier, this year I would like to sell 6 to 8 houses. So I initially just said 6, but then I was like, "You know what? Like I don't want to limit myself either." So I'm going to put 8 that way if I can get there, wonderful. But if I get just the 6, also wonderful because that's 5 more houses than I sold last year. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
kinda giving yourself that range, allowing yourself a little bit of that flexibility. You don't wanna go too crazy because then obviously it's gonna be too big of a range, but, giving yourself a little bit of leeway there, or I don't know, maybe one of these days we could do an episode and I can talk about, like, the things that I've learned with, like, health and wellness since I do have my, personal trainer certification, and I
Mm-hmm.
have done wellness coaching in the past because, you could also use that for your calories. So, like, a lot of people, what they will do so that they have a little bit more flexibility in their day-to-day life is they will say that on certain days of the week, they're gonna have, like, a little bit of a lower calorie count, so I'm just gonna throw a random number out there. Please don't take this as advice, this is just a random number. So, like, Monday through Friday, I'm allowed to eat 2,000 calories, and then on Saturday and Sunday, I'm allowed to eat 2,200, and whenever they did the math to figure out what their deficit was, all of those numbers fit into their complete weekly calorie deficit. So they're still technically in their deficit, but they're just being a little bit more disciplined during the week and they're giving themselves that leeway on the weekend. So again, there's different ways that you can do this and you can utilize this as a really good tool. Yeah. I know we just talked about atomic habits, but here in our notes we have like dedicated section to it. So, I do want to touch back on it a little bit and talk about some of the things that the author has listed out on what he does to make the positive goals a little bit more appealing. So, one of the things that he does is make it obvious. So, this is something that I implement a lot is I try to have certain things out, like laid out and ready for me, ready to go. So, for example, vitamins. If the vitamins, and I've talked about this with Val, if the vitamins are in the cupboard, I will forget about the vitamins. They do not exist in my mind. So I leave them out on the counter. I know it's a little cluttered. Maybe that's something that I can invest in is like a little pill organizer or something like that. But the fact that it's out on the counter whenever I'm making my coffee and doing my thing in the morning, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I need to take those." So that's a way that I'm able to make it obvious so that I can maintain that positive habit. Another one is make it easy. That's another great example of what you could do and then make it rewarding. And so again, you could say like, when I lose 2 pounds by the end of this week or by the end of the month or whatever your measurement of time is, I'm going to buy myself a cute pair of leggings. That kind of a thing. So
Mm.
definitely using that to your advantage. Again, Val, I don't know if you want to touch on anything before we move on because I know you love that book.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. I read the audiobook, but I want the hard physical book. So make it easy, make it obvious, make it rewarding. I've talked to Jenny that if I I need to take vitamins because well, first of all, I live in Washington, so vitamin D deficiency, and then also anemia, just getting a little vulnerable here, but I was on the copper IUD, which promotes anemia because you have so much
Same.
blood loss, like it causes so much cramping that a lot of women experience becoming anemic after being on it. So for a while there, I was supplementing with iron, but if I lost track of my vitamins, like out of sight, out of mind, if I can't even see it, I'm not gonna remember. So making it obvious, but I've also found ways to like make things aesthetically pleasing or like a luxurious feel or like something that's just part of my life. So one thing that I struggled with was also consuming enough water just because it doesn't taste good or because I forget or because whatever. So my mother-in-law actually got me this cup and it's like super cute, but this is my water cup and like I just know that I don't need to look for any cups. Like I just need to look for the big pink one.
Yeah.
And like
You're
this is my
inspiring
big
me. I need
pink
to take a
cup
chug.
and, like, I just know, like, make it easy. This is it. Make it obvious. Like, there's one cup only, and then make it rewarding. Like, it's a cup that I think is cute. Like, it's got Hello Kitty on it. Like, I love it. I feel like it's a vibe. So, like, I actually find it, like, rewarding. It's like, I like it, and I like carrying it around, and I like displaying it, and I like, so I feel like that's just one thing that just helps me drink water and make it like aesthetic and like a vibe and like I love it. But whatever it is, whether it's like maybe getting a cute vitamin case or maybe getting a cute fill in the blank, or I saw this where like President Obama, it's like if you see him, he usually wears the same thing. It's the same thing with like the CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. A lot of the people in high power places, it's kind of like having a uniform. It's like, this is my go-to. Like, I don't have to think about it. There's not a lot of brain
Mhm.
power of like having to think for an hour, like, well, what am I gonna wear today?
Right, because of
And
that
then you just waste yeah, decision fatigue, and then all of a sudden you wasted an hour, and it's like where you could have 5 minutes, this is what I'm gonna wear, and next, 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 and all of a sudden a 1 hour routine was like 15 to 30 minutes just because you don't have to think about it. It's a habit. You're just doing it. And I think that can work for you, depending on like it can work for you or it could work against you because I've also been on the end where it's just like it feels so automatic that I'm just going through the motions and there's like no joy in my life. But also there's been times where I'm like, I just wasted 2 hours of my life and I could have been
Yeah.
putting it to use. So I think having that balance of like, yeah, having balance.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think, I will say that's something that I need to work on is, like, laying my clothes out the night before. I feel like that is super helpful for me, but I just, like I don't know, I just always forget about it, so that is something that I should definitely start working on, but this kinda goes back to that idea of creating a system, right? So it's like, don't
Mhm.
think of it as this is super random. I need to just lay out my clothes every night. It's like, okay, an hour before I go to bed, I need to create some kind of a system. So I need to make myself a tea, make it really cozy, start turning the lights down, start making sure that the lights that I do have on are very yellowy and cozy. Maybe listening to some soothing music or maybe reading a book before bed. Make it a whole vibe. Like the way that I like to do it is I like to just pretend I'm in a movie. like
Mhm.
like that one scene from what's that movie? The Wedding Planner with J-Lo. I saw this meme the other day and they were talking about how that scene where she's like she gets home and she's like cooking her dinner and she's like ironing her clothes and she's like cleaning her apartment. And I guess the reason why they put that in the movie is because they want to make her seem very OCD. Like she has to be a control freak of everything. And how sad this is just a lonely woman. Like she doesn't have anybody to be with. But in reality, like everybody looked at that scene and they were like, oh my God, she has her life so put together. That sounds like a
Mhm.
vibe. So for me, I kind of like to pretend I'm in that type of a setting where I'm like, you know what? I'm pouring back into myself and it makes me feel good and it makes me feel cozy and like that's kind of how I like to do it when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, so let's move on to our next portion here. We're going to talk a little bit about different types of goals, not in the sense of SMART goals, but there's also another layer here. So we got three different types of goals. I don't know if there's any ones that you think of, Val, let me know. But we got process goals, performance goals, and outcome goals. So again, let's go back to fitness because I feel like that's a really easy one that a lot of people are working on this year. So, a process goal would be something along the lines of Val said a really good one earlier. I am going to run 1 mile every day. So, the reason that's called a process goal is because you're not setting a deadline for yourself. You're not saying that like by March 14th, I'm going to have X, Y, and Z completed. You're saying that I'm going to start the process of creating this habit. Then there's performance goals. So that one could be something along the lines of powerlifting. So that one, you're using the stats of how heavy you're lifting, how explosive you're lifting, what your PRs are, and you're using those stats to show how your performance is getting better and better with those goals over time. And then your outcome goals, those are usually going to be the ones that have to do with a deadline. So again, saying like, I'm going to gain 5 pounds of muscle by I don't know, let's just say March 14th again, because I think that's almost 3 months out from now. So, yeah, again, I don't know if you have any other ones that you can think of, Val, but those are like the three most common ones. So, I think also getting specific in that way is really helpful for people who might be figuring out what their goals are or what their New Year's resolutions are this year.
I'm trying to think. I guess one that I can have like a outcome goal is like something, you're trying to meet an outcome. When I was in high school, I knew I was going to graduate and I was like, I don't have to worry about it. But for me, it was like getting a black belt. I got my black belt when I was in high school. And like that was the big outcome. Like that is like the goal that I wanted to reach. And then I reached it. And then I think there's other, like for me, so for me and diet, I've decided it's not so much about like how much weight I lose or setting like some I want to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds or 15 or whatever. It's like I want to have these habits for the rest of my life. I want to be healthy for until the day that I die versus like it's mostly building. I want to, I guess, would that be a progress or performance goal? Progress. Like I
Probably
think for me,
progress. Yeah. Or
yeah, for
process.
me,
Sorry.
process. For me, it's more important that I build the lifestyle and the habits and that I build this for a lifetime or at least have like those skills to fall back on versus reaching a goal because I've also been in that place where I've reached the goal and then the goal was over and then I went back. After the goal was
Yeah.
reached, then like I would go back to my old habits and then I would be back to square one. And then it would be like back to square one, make the goal, back to square one, make the goal, reach the goal, back to square one. So for me, I've decided I care more about not the goal. I care more about having the habit. So I think SMART goals plus atomic habits is a good combination of like, knowing that you're reaching something, but also like building the systems or the habits to like, maintain the goal.
Mhm.
I don't want to just reach it. I want to maintain it and sustain it. Yes, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and again, I think that kinda goes back to that realistic aspect, the R in SMART goals is, making sure that you're creating a system that is not so excuse me, I don't know what's going on with my voice. Something that's not so rigid that you are, like, more likely to fall off the bandwagon once, you're
Mm-hmm.
done reaching it. Um Especially for, those who might suffer with eating disorders, if we're specifically speaking on like health and fitness goals, that's something to be very, very aware of. And that's something to be very cautious with. If you have a history of disordered eating, make sure that you are working with the professionals that are needed in order to do your best moving forward because your overall health is the most important. And you want to make sure that you're taking care of that overall health before you're running yourself into the ground. So, yeah. So, that being said, now Val and I are going to talk about our own SMART goals for this year. So, again, I have a lot. I think it's probably going to be a good idea for us to take turns. I definitely will need to reevaluate some of these now that I have them planned out and figure out that if there are some that need to take a back seat, I won't be super upset about that. So I don't know if you want to start, Val, or do you want me to start?
I have a lot of goals, oh my gosh, but I will start with an easy one. I really love sleep and like prioritize my sleep, and it's taken me a while to get here because Jenny knows how crazy I am.
Yeah,
And
she
by
used to drink
crazy, I
a
mean like,
pitcher of coffee.
yeah, I was like, water, what is that? Like, I drink coffee. Like water. I don't know her. Like, does it have
Coffee
caffeine?
is water.
Coffee is water. There's water in coffee. Yeah. Um,
True.
so and then I would sleep like 4 hours. It was just grad school did a number on me. So I
Yeah.
love sleep. With that said, I really prioritize like self-care and unwinding at night. And that's when I do most of my reading. So one of my goals is like not to purchase any books until I read all of the books that I own. And I'm like, okay, well, how are you gonna do that, Val? Like, how are you gonna read all these books? Because I also want new books. So I'm like, okay, I gotta read these before I can get new ones. So the goal is to, before I go to sleep, no screens. Like, I also don't want to exhaust my eyes. So kind of just going back and either sketching or listening to some music or reading. And that's how I'm gonna get my reading in. And it's gonna be before bed. And the goal is to be in bed by no later than 10 p.m. So that is like one
Yeah.
of the goals that I'm trying to reach and helps me just wind down, but I'm also getting my reading in. I'm getting in my pages. And there's no number of pages, but I at least need to read 1 or 2 pages. Like that is like the
Your
minimum.
minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And fun fact, reading actually helps naturally produce melatonin. So if there's anybody out there who is also struggling with insomnia or just trying to get their sleep, schedule back on track, I know it's hard to be disciplined about not, doing screen time, but definitely turn it off as I would say at the very least 30 minutes before bed, but an hour is so much better because the blue light is going to disrupt your circadian rhythm. And so it's going to make it harder for you to fall asleep. And then again, replacing it with reading is going to be really helpful because it's going to help you naturally produce that melatonin. Again, tying it back to weight loss and fat loss, if that is something you're focusing on. I feel like this whole episode, I'm starting to put my health coach hat back on and I'm like, oh, I like this. This is fun. I'm getting all nerdy about it. But if you are trying to lose fat for this year, sleep is super important. If you do not
Mhm.
get the right amount of sleep that you need, you are making it so that your muscles are not recovering as quickly. and efficiently. You are making it so that certain hormones in your body are working against you. So your hunger hormone will be turned up because your body needs more of that fuel, and the fullness hormone will be turned down because, again, your body needs more of that fuel to replace the fact that you didn't get enough sleep. So, if you are somebody who likes to not get as much sleep, try to make a little bit of a difference. That will help in so many more ways than you can think of. So, love that goal. How can we turn that into a SMART goal?
Okay. So let me go back to SMART. Okay, so SMART, it's specific. I need to read all of my books, like all of the books that I own, so that I can buy more books because Val is a book hoarder. Like, we need to just stop. Like,
Yeah,
Val. So
same.
I need to read all my books. And it doesn't matter if it's 6 months, a year, 2 years. I just need to read all of my books. So that's very specific. Measurable, I'm not trying to measure how many books. I just need
Well,
to
you're
read all of
measuring
my
it with
books.
your pages though, so that's good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're
So
giving
setting
yourself a
like a max
minimum.
or a
I
min,
do like
yeah.
that.
Achievable, yes, it's very
Definitely.
achievable. Relevant, what was the other R? Relevant or
Realistic?
realistic? I think it's pretty
Yeah,
realistic.
I think it's realistic to your lifestyle.
Yeah. I lost a headphone. Oh my god.
Headphone down.
I'm back, you guys. I'm back. Time bound.
After 2
There
seconds.
is time bound. There's no amount of time. I'm not saying I need to do this within 6 months. I always say time bound. I feel like it's being on a mission. It's like, and I'm gonna accomplish this meal in 2 hours or whatever. No,
Yeah.
it's whenever.
Well, and
But
that's
I do
because
need
for
to get it
you, it's
done.
a process goal. So then what you could say,
Mm-hmm.
technically what you could do for the time portion is you could say that you're measuring it every day. You're doing it
Mm,
every day. So you're not saying like I'm going to read this amount of books by this time next year. You're saying every day I'm going to read 1 to 2 pages minimum. So
mm-hmm.
it's still technically I think it's a perfect SMART goal. I like it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I'll do my turn. Okay. So, you guys know I want to learn Spanish. Am I would say I'm a pretty skilled Spanish speaker. I'm not completely fluent. I think I took a test a while ago and I think it said I was like a B4 or something like that, whatever that means. And then I guess the highest level is like a C2 if I'm not mistaken. But the way that I want to measure my goal, because I don't know how to figure out when I get to that fluency level unless I take some kind of a test like that that says yes, you're a C2. So what I'm going to do, I currently am already using Duolingo, but I want to ramp it up a little bit. I actually am very proud to say that I have like a 403-day streak going on right now. So the fact that I was able to like maintain that for so long is like really great. But like I said, I want to ramp it up. So what I did was I looked at the like curriculum on Duolingo to see like how many lessons I have left until I get to the next portion of like I don't know if I could call it a section because basically in the Spanish part of Duolingo it's 8 sections and then after the eighth section you have like a review portion. So you're pretty much just like making sure that you're brushing up on what you already know. So right now I'm currently on section 8, which is the last section. I have a ton of units left, but I did the math and if I do 3 lessons per day, I should be able to get to the end of section 8 by December 31st. So turning that into a SMART goal, what I wrote was that I am going to become fluent or my version of fluent by December 31st of 2026 and I will do so by completing all of the lessons and units in section 8 of Duolingo by that date and again through the means of doing 3 sessions per day. In addition to my Duolingo lessons, I will watch telenovelas, listen to podcasts and Spanish music in my free time, and eventually I will enroll in Spanish classes by June of this year. So that is something that I've always wanted to do, but the time constraints and the money constraints I have not been able to do yet. So I'm really hoping that financially I'll be doing better by next year so that I can make that happen cuz I really love a classroom setting, honestly.
That's really good. Dang, dang, girl. Yeah. And after that, we can take a trip to Spain or something. Maybe that's your reward,
That'll be my
like a
reward.
trip.
Yes, I'm so
Yes.
down. Sign me up.
Okay. What else, Jenny? What else do we got? Should we talk about more goals?
Yeah, I have a whole list. I have
Oh,
like 6
dang.
goals,
Have a list.
but I don't wanna just be like mine. Tell me more of yours.
Okay. All right. I just okay. So in reading, one of the reasons why I also love reading is because you get to see words and word usage and also like rhythm. I think there's a lot of beauty in just reading. Also, like there's people that are no longer with us or no longer here, but they have left us with their secrets, with their information. And I just really think it's in our best interest to read, especially people that we look up to. With that said, I also want to write a book. Like that is one of the things I want to do this year is I want to write a few kids books. So I need to sit down and I need to write. And that's not the hard part. The hard part is not writing. The hard part is afterwards the illustrations. I don't have somebody to help me illustrate. So I'm illustrating this. I'm also using AI to help me illustrate. So finding the right AI, also finding the right illustration type that I want. And then after you have the illustrations, I need to like put that I know the systems, like I know what I need to do. I just need to sit down and do it. So I need to build the habit to do it. So then after that, you need to go to Canva. Canva has a template for book writing, which is great because anyone can do this and you can self-publish on Amazon. So again, it's not doable. It's not that I can't. It's not that I don't have the know-how. It's just sitting down and doing it. So after you have the
Mhm.
illustrations, you drag them onto Canva, you fit them, and then you have the words. So where's the text gonna go? Like you gotta put the text somewhere. So how are you gonna do this? So I need to sit down and I need to do the work. So it's not been for like lack of knowledge, maybe lack of effort, lack of time. I'm not really sure, or just not really fitting it anywhere. So then it doesn't get done. And then I like think to myself, oh, I still didn't do this thing. So I need to build a system so that I can actually get this done. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I know Val and I have been, as you guys know, we Snapchat all the time. And so we've been kind of talking about these conversations already a little bit. And I was telling her about how much time blocking has helped me. And that's something that like I've always been interested in. Like I've known about it literally since like 2016. But it's just been so hard for me to implement for some reason. And it wasn't until this year that I got into real estate that I was kind of like forced to do it for my survival because I do real estate. I work at a serving job and I'm trying to maintain my fitness. And then we added the podcast into the list. So having all those responsibilities, I have to keep myself organized. So usually what I do, and I don't know if you want to start, doing something similar to this, Val, but I do this at an outside location, outside of my home, because there's a lot of distractions here. I could be watching TV, I could be playing video games, I could be reading, I could do all kinds of different things. But when I go to the real estate office, I am forced to sit down and look at my life. So maybe, Val, for you could start going to the coffee shop every Monday. That could be like your reward. Have your little coffee, have your little me time, pretend you're in a movie, put some headphones on, and take a planner there. And so I will put in first my like I'll use Google Calendar and I used to use a paper calendar, or I'm sorry, a paper planner, but I decided to start using my iPad this year because I haven't been making as much use out of it as I would like. So I like having two separate areas to go to because it's like I'm writing it down, but it's also literally digitally, and then there's no excuse because it's popping up in my phone when there's reminders for it. So as I was saying, I'll go in there, I'll put my serving schedule first because those are the like non-negotiables. That's basically how I pay my bills right now. And then if there are any real estate things that I need to do, any classes that I need to be taking, any meetings, any showings that I need to do, I'll put those in my calendar for the week. And then all of that other free time, I will dedicate to the things that I like to do that are still like a disciplined thing, but they're enjoyable for me. So going to the gym, painting, reading, etc. So maybe, Val, that's something that you can do is you could start going to your little coffee shop on Mondays, figuring out your non-negotiables of the events going on that week, and then all the empty spaces that you see, you don't have to do anything crazy. Start out with just 30 minutes and put a time slot on like Tuesday, like do something with the book, like write the book or plan the book or illustrate the book or whatever the case may be.
Hmm. No, I think that's really, really good. Whenever you were talking, I was thinking back of like systems when I was like maybe in high school or college. A lot of the things that were really easy and the reason I succeeded like so much in high school and college was because I had to be here at a certain place and this was the one thing I was going to do. Like in English class, I was going to only do English, not algebra. Like I'm only got to focus on this. Or when I was in dance, the only thing I had to focus on was dance, not ROTC or algebra. Like I was there to do one thing and one thing only, and I think I just need to do that. So I think, yeah, like you said, going to like a place and sitting there and like I have an hour, I'm gonna be here for an hour, and this is what we gotta accomplish, or it doesn't matter how much we accomplish, but we gotta work on the thing, and maybe we accomplish a lot, or maybe we accomplish very little, but we worked on it for an hour. So yeah, I guess it goes back to like building the system. So I think maybe my next steps would be like sit down and think of all the things that I want to do and then like build those systems. Yeah, yeah. That was really good,
Yeah,
Jen. That was really, really good. That was a
I
good
like it.
thank you life coach. Oh, that was
We're
good.
problem
That was
solving
good.
in real time.
Yes, yes.
I feel like I mentioned this already. This is pretty much my goal for like health and fitness is I do want to lose 10 pounds of fat and gain 5 pounds of muscle. I want to do it by March 1st. I feel like we already talked about that in a bunch of examples, so I'm not going to really delve too much deep into it there, but let me pull up another one that's like, okay, actually, let me pull this one up because this is something that I struggle with and I think Val will be able to help me with. Okay, so one of my goals that I have that I would like to start implementing is being more active on social media. So, both in my personal social media and my real estate social media. I would love to work my way up to posting every single day, but honestly, the thought of it feels so overwhelming to me. So, I've decided to start off by doing 3 times a week and then work my way up. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set a goal for just like the next 3 months, just so it kind of lines up with what I'm doing with like my health and fitness, and then seeing how that works. If it doesn't work, well, then we got trial and error and we're gonna move forward. But this is how I wrote it. So I put, I will post 3 times a week on my personal and real estate social media accounts, focusing on TikTok for my personal account and Instagram for my real estate account. I will measure this goal by checking in once a week while doing my planner work, and I will attain this goal by pre planning and staying organized. So, again, like planning out my social media, setting a specific day to like batch my content, whether I'm doing, photo
Mhm.
shooting or recording or creating canvas, and then like scheduling out in advance so that it, doesn't get in the way of my regular daily schedule. But Val, I don't know if you have tips for this because you have run multiple social media pages for multiple different companies. So I would love to know if you have any tips or tricks on that.
Yes. Okay, so there's the ones that are kind of automated and working for you and the content kind of comes like naturally. So for example, Conscious Comadres, we have this and the hard thing about this is like we record it and we have a set date and we're sitting down and we're doing it. And that's not the hard part. The hard part afterwards is like making time to edit, which I think now like 9 episodes in, we've kind of figured out a flow. So it's like okay, this is kind of becoming more like automated like I'm not going out or doing anything because I'm setting time to sit down and like edit this. So I know one of the streams or social media accounts that is going to be easy to run or the content is made with Conscious Comadres because then we get the clips and then we edit those and those kind of go out. The hard part is kind of just like editing the content, but it's made. So for you, I would say like Conscious Comadres is made and it's automated and that one's easy because it's made. Like we're doing it now and we're going to edit it and then we got to post it. The other one, I would just say, like, what are things that you are doing? Like, get ready for me in the day of a realtor, or like, this is what I wear, fill in the blank, or what I eat in a day to hit my protein goals. Like, that way it's intentional and it's things that you would do anyway. Because that makes it easy. That makes it easy. Like, you're going
Yeah.
to do it anyway. You're going to eat the food anyway. You're going to get dressed anyway. So then just walk us through that. So for me,
Yeah.
I like fashion. So I really love Jenny's outfits. Like I think they're very professional. They're very chic. They're very well put together. And it's also things that I wouldn't say like I wouldn't necessarily not wear, but Jenny has a different style than I do. So I'm like, "Oh wow, like that's really cool. I would have not expressed myself through clothing that way, but you look good, dude. Like you really make it work. Or like, oh wow, like I really like how you threw that together. So like get ready for me in the day of a realtor. And then maybe you can do 5 of those or 3 of those, depending on how many times you're gonna go into the office. But then you're also pre-planning your outfits because you have to wear them the next day. So then the next day you don't have to think about what I'm gonna wear. It could be like a 3-minute video or 2-minute video the night before of like, I'm gonna wear this, this is comfy, this is relaxing, fill in the blank, and check, you got one thing. What am I gonna eat? But then that's thinking, you're also thinking ahead of like high protein foods or low calorie or low sugar or whatever,
Yeah.
but you're thinking and then you're just going to make content about it. So right now, I'm also content batching. So a lot of my content may not go out right now, but it is going to go out. But I'm already like funneling these systems and
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it
I
because I'm
think
going
that's
to do it
something you're
anyway. I'm
really
going
good
to
to
eat
focus
anyway.
on. Yeah, because I feel like for me right now, I just don't have enough videos that are like batched up and ready to go. And so
Mm-hmm.
because like as soon as I film one, I post it. And then I have this like high level of like, oh, I want to post 3 times a week. And it's like, well, you literally only just posted one right now because you just recorded it. So like you need to like start creating and like get it together and pull it like create it like you said. And then that way once it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the editing, you're like good to go because you're already in a flow.
Yeah, I guess the other thing is like, well, what kind of posts can you make? Because there's like reels, there's YouTube videos, YouTube shorts. So this is going to be long form. So this is, we usually make 1 to 2 long form contents, but then we have a lot of shorts. So it's like, okay, well, what can go out now and what can wait? So what can go out now behind the scenes? What can go out now putting like, getting ready for tomorrow and it's a picture of outfits, or getting ready for tomorrow and it's a picture of food, or it doesn't have to be like super
Yeah.
crazy, but then you make the story. So stories for me are simple because it's, well, I don't have to post a whole
It's just what
reel
I'm
or
doing
go
right
behind the
this
scenes
second. Right.
right now, and then people see it later and they're like, oh yeah, like she made that and now she's showing us what she made, or like, oh yeah, I saw that outfit, and then they see you wearing it. So I guess it's like, what can you make now and what can go out later, I guess.
Yeah, and kinda, like, building it into your daily habits is, like, what I'm hearing right now, and I think that's something that I need to work on too. Because I remember when I first started my real estate page, I was feeling this same way that I'm feeling right now where I'm like, "Oh my god, this is just a blank slate," and I feel overwhelmed on what to create for my first few posts because I feel like it has to be perfect, and I feel like it has to be so well put together, and then one of my colleagues, she actually showed me an agent that's in the area that she follows, and she was like, "I love this girl. I love everything that she posts. You should take some inspiration from her and see what you like." So I went to her page and she was posting like the simplest things. She was posting just a story of what she was drinking that day, like if it was a Lonnie New energy drink or something. Then she was posting, and it was funny because it's like her real estate page, but it is cool because it makes her more personable and more of a human. She's posting herself skating on a skateboard. She's posting herself on her way to a listing appointment, or not a listing appointment, a showing appointment is what I meant to say. Just like little bits and pieces of her everyday life. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, it doesn't have to be super polished and put together. It just has to be my life. That's literally all it has to be.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's kind of bringing me back to that, and it's getting the wheels turning. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think also I listen to a lot of Gary Vee just because I find him super inspirational and like super real. So it's like you are the content. So I'm gonna snap a picture and later I'll tell people what I made or why I did it. Or like the things I keep reusing. Like I'm really big on olive oil, so I will take a picture of like my choice of olive oil and then later I'll make a video on why it's my choice of, fill in the blank. But it's just like, well, this is who I am and this is what I do, and I'm gonna take you behind the scenes or show you sneak peeks, or and then later I'll tell you about it. But I don't have the later right now. You're gonna have to wait for that. But what can I do now, or what can I post now? And then, so for the reading, I want to share the things that I enjoy and the things that I'm learning. So I'm gonna read at night, and then I might highlight a few things, and then the next day I might like say like a quote for the day, fill in the blank. I read it here, or like chapter
Yeah.
one. This is what I got, and then it's like I don't have to go out of my way. I was gonna do it anyway. So I guess I'm just making content on the things I'm already gonna be doing. And
Yeah.
then for the funnels. some of these things are already automated. So for Conscious Comadres, we still have to do work for it, but a lot of the work is already done because we're doing it right now. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this. This is so fun. I feel like in a way this is a little bit of a behind the scenes episode, or at least like this tail end of this episode, cuz we're talking about the things that we do to get to like what you guys actually end up seeing. And I will say, like, I encourage you guys, if you are somebody who is wanting to create your own content, I know it can be so nerve-wracking. Like, that is literally something that I have struggled with for years. And I let the fear of being seen get in my way too much. Like, I just finally overcame that fear, I would say, in 2025, and I'm still actively overcoming that fear. But if it's something that you wanna do, you have a limited time on this flying rock in space, like, just do it. Just do it. You don't have to have this goal of wanting to be huge or grow an enormous amount of followers. I honestly don't even wanna have an enormous amount. I would love to just be like a micro creator. I think that'd be awesome. But for me, I think it's more about leaving something behind for my kids and my future grandkids and so on and so forth. If I never get to a level where I'm like making a really, really, really big impact, at the very least, they'll have content to be able to look back on and they'll be able to hear my voice and they'll be able to see me
Mhm.
and Val create these stories and talk about the things that we've been through. And I think that's great in and of itself. So just do the thing that you want to do. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have any thoughts to wrap this up.
Dude, I have a lot. Oh my gosh. So one, I was thinking about for like real estate, I would like if you don't want to do content that shows your face, I would just be like at a new location and I would like maybe like a glimpse of like the walkway and the flowers, or if there's like a pretty chandelier, it's like when like part of my daily life I get to see beautiful objects and I show like a chandelier, or like just like where's Jenny at? Like what kind of house is she selling? Oh my God, is she like in the hills? Like where is she? And it's like you don't have to show your face all the time because I've been there where I'm just like I just like today is not the day, but check out this
Yeah.
cool chandelier. Or like today is not the day, but check out this really cool walkway or fill in the blank. But in terms of content, I don't know. I will just go back to like my art teacher and my coach. My art teacher taught me to find the beauty in everything and that you can get paid for being an artist. So I see content creation much like art. Like I'm telling stories, I'm hanging out with my best friend, I'm sharing what I know, I'm sharing what I've learned. So I'm creating something. Like I think this is art. So making art and getting paid for it. My coach just staying authentic and true to myself. His dream was teaching martial arts, learning martial arts, and showing others. So this is my dream, and I'm doing it, and I get to do it with my best friend. And yeah, one day, hopefully, like my kids or grandkids will be like, oh my gosh, that's what grandma looked like, or oh my gosh, grandma went here. And they won't just see the pictures. Maybe they'll get like the vlog and be like, oh my gosh, she ate that. I can't believe it. Or she did that. Oh my God, that's my grandma, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like a living record. It's a living
Yeah.
record. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything else. As always, we are going to have our social media handles at the very end of this video so you guys can follow us there. I do need to update it because Val has a new username and I love
I
it.
do. I
Where can they
do. Oh my
find
gosh.
you?
So the new username, it's called Val by Design. And the reason why I chose it is kind of goes into art. Is there's another pro and it's like you are the artist of your life and you can curate and decide who you want to be. Another one that goes into fitness, it's I forgot, I think it might be like Michelangelo that said it, but it's like he's talking about sculpting and he's like the David, I didn't have to take him out. He was already in there. And it kind of reminds me
Oh,
of like this version of me. She's already in here.
you're
She's
just chipping
already in
away,
me. I'm
sculpting her.
just chipping away. She's, yeah. So it's like Val by design. Like
I like that.
we all get to design and make the art of our life. And so,
Yeah.
you get to kind of come behind the scenes with me on like what I eat, what I do, like what's inspiring me, what books I'm reading. So it's Val by design. And I'm actually really excited to start posting on there. So
Yeah.
that's where you can find me.
I
Yes.
love that. Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have. As always, we're going to have the resources and the things that we mentioned in the notes in the description box below. We would love to hear your goals. You don't have to tell us everything, but maybe just pick one goal that you've kind of been super vague about and like turn it into a SMART goal and let us know what your thoughts are, what you're wanting to work on this upcoming year. I think 2026 is going to be a great year and I am excited to see what unfolds. So, hope you guys have a great
Yeah.
rest of your day, and we will see you in the next episode.
We will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.